Okay, guys, welcome. I've got Michelle here. So Michelle helps do all the design and material selection for our company. So I will do my best to answer, kind of go through the presentation. But if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask at the end. And then Michelle will also kind of chime in for each section. So, oh, 1 second. Okay, Chelsea's in. Okay, so why do we think this is important to talk about today for material selections? Like, yes, okay, selfishly, if you're flipping, of course you want to sell your house as quick as possible. You want to get the most money for it. Yes, absolutely. From a business perspective, super, super important to have to get those things for your flip. But why is this? We are passionate about this. We just had a house we just put on the market over on Hardesty Ave. We had 4 different agents contact us afterwards and talk about how amazing the quality was, how they saw 3 other rehabs prior to that, how they were terrible, doors on upside down, poor craftsmanship, poor material selection. And that's embarrassing, right, for our community. I really do. I think if you're going to be an investor and you're going to do this, you should put the house should be of a level of quality that you would want to put your own family into. And so that's kind of the motto that we live by. That's how we flip the properties that we do. And that's kind of something I hope more people take away so that, like I said, we kind of have a better reputation and we're building great homes, right? We're renovating great homes for people in the community. So that's why, right? That's why we're going to talk about this today. Sell it quickly, make more money, have a better reputation, and just do better, safe, quality homes for people. Okay. So we're going to talk about paint, kitchen cabinets and countertops, flooring, tile and tile shower surrounds, plumbing and lighting fixtures, and then open it up to your questions. So the majority of our houses and what this presentation is going to be geared towards are houses that are going to have an ARV of between like 150 and $225,000. That's our bread and butter. We've done houses that are up to $350,000. We've done old houses that are 120 years old, and we've tried to restore that charm and beauty to them. But we're going to be talking more, or what this is kind of geared more towards, is houses built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like I said, with the ARV of 150 to 225. Feel free to like open up your questions here at the end, and if any of like my agents or any guys that work for us, want to talk about this more afterwards in like a private session, we're happy to discuss that. But okay, so first topic, paint. Please, please, please do not use cheap paint, right? So for us, a minimum paint that we're going to use is going to be something of like a Behr Premium Plus quality or higher. So it needs to be a good primer and paint. One, it's going to coat faster, which is easier for your contractors. 2, it's going to stay on longer. And 3, it's just going to look better. It's going to be more vibrant with that. So we always will use an oil-based primer. If the house that you're trying to renovate had a lot of cigarette smoking in it or terrible pet odors, use that oil-based primer. It's going to coat better. It's going to eliminate all those odors from the house, and it's going to stay eliminated. And then you're going to have to go and paint over it. Don't just think because you use a paint and primer that you're buying for your main wall colors that's going to be good enough. No, if you have a terrible odor or discolored walls that are say like are kind of yellow from that nicotine, again, you're going to have to prime it and then paint it with a good quality paint. And same things goes for if you're going to refinish cabinets after you get done. A good primer over the top of it and roll it on, or I'm sorry, spray it, don't roll it on. Rolled cabinets just look terrible. You can tell they leave streaks. It's just not very professional. So yeah, Michelle, is there anything you want to talk about there?
And just pick a light neutral color, like a white or a light gray, and you cannot go wrong. So
Yep. So kitchen cabinets and countertops, we always use DeMaio for our cabinets. So they are a soft close. They're fantastic. We have found we used to in the beginning try to keep a lot of older cabinets and try to reuse them. Now we're at the point where unless they're all wood and they're in really pristine condition, those suckers are getting ripped out and we're going to put in new cabinets. This is not an area to try to save a lot of money on. I understand, new cabinets are going to be $1,500 to $2,000, even $2,500, depending on what you have. There's a lot of bang for your buck in putting in nice new cabinets. And you're going to get all that value back on ARV and with people trying to buy it. So that's what we use. That's what we love. They're almost the same price as, this is slightly more expensive than like a entry level Home Depot or Lowe's kind of cabinet. But yeah, I mean, they're really nice. They're a shaker. They assemble really nicely. They look fantastic. So if you do if you do decide to keep your cabinets and you paint it, make sure that you use, I'm sorry here, get this thing out of the way. That you paint the inside and the outside. So a lot of people, you'll see this, they'll just paint the outside and it just doesn't look right.
You open up the cabinet and it's like old, like
Yeah.
shelf paper that's curling. It's just gross. So
Yeah.
if you're going to reuse them,
Really
do it
strip it.
well.
Yeah. Sand it, strip it down, the whole thing inside and out, take off the doors, have it sprayed, do it the right way. And then with countertops, always, 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 if it's going to be a flip, use a hard surface, especially, like a granite, a quartz, something like that. You're going to get the value back. It's going to sell much quicker. It looks a lot better. And when you're doing it, use an undermount sink for it. Spend a little bit extra money, undermount the sink. We've got a great installer where they'll install the sink with it. It just gives it a really beautiful high-end finish, and it's worth that little bit of extra money. You're going to save. Laminate countertops are not going to last at all. They're hard to cut and put into place. Especially if it's not if you have to miter in the angles and put them together, it never looks right. You have to buy it, the corner pieces, and make sure it goes in correctly. So we've just found, just use a hard surface. All right, so flooring. Love to refinish hardwoods. The photo that we put up, that's actually new hardwoods that we had installed, which you do have to do on occasion. It was a really old house. This is a 120-year-old house in the picture there. And so in that case, we weren't able to really save it because there had been so much like swelling and bowing and whatnot. But hardwoods, a good hardwood finisher, you're going to be, $2.50 to $3 a square foot at most. You can even find guys that do a great job at $2 a square foot. So for that price, it's going to be almost the exact same as carpet, which is about your cheapest flooring option. But everyone loves hardwoods. It adds tremendous value to your house. So do it. Don't do it yourself, please, for the love of God. Hire somebody to do it. We see people that try to sand it and stain it, and they don't put on like the coats right. And so, yeah, just make sure that you're doing that. And if you are going to do that, you have to have heat and AC depending on the time of year so that it cures and dries correctly. Don't try to put on hardwood floors, refinish them if you don't have heat. And at this time of year, it wouldn't work in a house. So, all right, the LVP, please don't use the glue down stuff. Get the snap together, that like the planks that go together. We always like to buy something with an underlaminate in it itself. This is a great flooring option. It's cheap to install. It's what, $3, $4 a square foot, depending on what you buy. It looks really nice. It keeps getting better, scratch resistant, water resistant stuff. It's really, really good stuff. Like I said, don't cheap out and get the stuff without the underlaminate. It won't last as long. It's going to void the warranty if you do and you don't put down that underlaminate. It's going to swell. So just spend a little extra money. It's worth it. It lasts longer and it looks really nice. The carpet, if you're going to do that, we use carpet all the time in bedrooms and whatnot. A lot of people, use builder grade. That's absolutely fine to use builder grade carpet. But if you're going to do that, make sure you use a half-pound pad underneath it. It gives it that thicker, plusher feel, and it's just nicer. What do you think?
Yeah, if you're gonna do like a lower grade carpet, just the thicker pad helps it to feel like a higher grade carpet. So
Yeah. And it will also take, if there's any slight imperfections in the floor that you're laying over, that half-pound pad will kind of even that out and you won't be able to notice. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody, right? Feels a little bit better, looks a little bit nicer. And like I said, the floors don't have to be absolutely perfect when you put them down. So tile and tile shower surround, I kind of put this in a different area. Tile floors are your most expensive option, right? When you just by putting down backer board and then the cement and the tile itself and the grout and the cutting and everything else to install. It looks beautiful. It really does. There's so many great options you can get out there for tile for, $4, $6, $8 a square foot. And the higher end homes will go a little more expensive than that. So yes, use it. Absolutely. If you have old tile that you don't, in a bathroom that and it's a lower end house that you're flipping, LVP is a great option to go over the top of that. Here though, shower surrounds, please do not use plastic, right? So I understand the plastic inserts are going to be about $300, a little easier to install, but a good shower surround tiled is about $700 for labor. And with, kind of entry level tile itself, the whole thing is about $1,000. It looks beautiful. It lasts a really, really long time. Gives a great finished look to the house. So, the savings of $500 is not worth it to put in the plastic. You can though on a lower ARV that 125, 150 ish kind of range. Use a plastic shower pan, which you can just go buy a standard shower pan from Home Depot. It's much cheaper than pouring your own pan. You can't tile over a plastic shower. Um, you can't tile over a shower plastic pan, but like I said, they're absolutely fine if that's kind of what you want to do on a lower house, and then tile the shower surround. And then finally, always do a backsplash, even if it's just one wall in a kitchen. If you've got like the L shape going on or multiple walls, at least pick one wall, do a good backsplash. They're cheap. It's about $300 in labor to do that. A couple $100 max for materials. It looks great. It pops. It's going to add a lot of value to it. You're going to bring in a lot more clients by doing your backsplash that way.
Just from like a design standpoint too, if there's a big space where you're using tile on the floor, I would try to use a larger tile, like a 12 by 24, or like I just use these really big, like 18-inch hexagon tiles versus a really small tile. But then in a place like a powder room or a bathroom floor, like on this photo, or your backsplash, that's a place where you could have some fun with like a print or a pattern or a color. And that you could change up on all your flips. Like everything else could be the same, but you could change up your tile. So it could just make your property more unique.
Okay, plumbing fixtures. So we can't stress this enough. Please do not use builder grade plumbing fixtures, right? They don't, I'm talking like, sorry, going to call you out here, Glacier Bay. All right, don't use that stuff. It falls apart very quickly. It's very cheaply made. I understand it looks kind of nice and it's inexpensive, but that's really not something you want to put your name behind, right? And no plumber ever will show up and be like, hey, I brought you some Glacier Bay. It's always going to be like a Delta, a Moen, right? Something like that that's going to last for years. Spend the extra 30, 40 bucks, whatever, put in decent quality plumbing fixtures. They look really nice. They last a really long time. It's just worth it. Have everything match throughout your house. I can't tell you how many times we've seen that where we'll see other flips and it's just crazy, right? It's like chrome in one room and brushed nickel in another. And it's just like, it's all over the house. It doesn't make any rhyme or reason, especially when they don't match in just like the same bathroom, right? We've seen.
Yeah. It's not just the finish. It's like someone uses a traditional faucet with like a modern shower head. It just doesn't make sense. So just be cognizant of what you're using. A lot of like Lowe's and Home Depot, they have lines, and just like I like to use like different visor lines or Delta. Like they have a whole bunch of options, and you can even get matching like toilet paper holders and towel bars that will match your faucets.
Yeah, and they'll have displays in there. If you're confused, just go take a look and they'll kind of give you some ideas and recommendations of what that looks like. We've also found don't try to scamp and save old fixtures inside the house.
Yeah.
Just take it all out, just replace it all. It looks so much better. It's cleaner. You're not going to get some, leak later on, like you're going through inspections. And I understand you have to check everything really thoroughly. We do that. We have to run all the water, everything, 5-10 minutes after everything's been hooked up just to make sure there's not a leak, because you are reconnecting everything. But that's better than, going through an inspection and then you find out you have like a leaking valve or there's something wrong with one of your faucets or whatever. So yeah, just like I said, replace that stuff, all of it. Any other things you want to? No.
This is another place where like the designer and you can have some fun with it and maybe do like if you want to do like the brush bronze, like faucet in the kitchen or a matte black, this is where you can stay on top of design trends and really give your buyer what they're looking for.
Yeah, and then that's a great segue into the lighting. It's the same way, right? And there's great options locally at Menards and Home Depot. We do order a bunch of stuff, but again, don't use a builder grade kind of light fixture, step up, at least one step up above that. We like to go, depending on where we are at the price point, and we typically want to come in at the top of our price point. We're going to use some sexy light fixtures, like we do. It adds a lot of pop. It adds a lot of appeal to kind of spaces that will kind of just be bland on their own, like a dining room space or in a kitchen, right? You can see down here in the bottom right photo. Yes, the staging looks great, and so does the kind of the room. But that light is going to be the centerpiece, right? It's gonna tie everything together in there. So, like Michelle was saying, be unique, be trendy, match throughout the house. I mean, for us, it's kind of standard. Like we're gonna update all the electrical, all the switches, all the outlets, and so it's a great time for us to just take out every single lighting fixture and then have a plan so that it flows coherently across the entire house.
Yeah, and don't neglect your exterior light fixtures too, because that's gonna have a lot of curb appeal. So especially those front porch lights, like take some time and pick something nice out.
Yeah, and a little extra money in those locations goes a really long way, especially like Michelle just said. I always tell our team, hey, we want it to be an experience when people show up. So it's not only just curb appeal, right? You don't want any trash in the yard. You want them to get out. The lawn looks immaculate. The house looks fantastic, and it's got those little things, right? When they first get out, like the door pops. It has a really nice house numbers. There's some accents on there. Really great fixtures on the outside. That's going to set the stage for your flip throughout the entire home, right? So if they come in already on the outside and you left that old, whatever globe light on the outside with like, the yellow light bulb, right? It's going to set the tone that this is not a quality house when they're going into. And that's what you want from start to finish when people show up and walk through. It not only does it look beautiful, and it's staged and they want to live there, but it's a really high quality house and they can tell that. And that is like for us, we found, that's our niche, is that we want to have the very best properties in that 150 to 225, ARV range. That's what we do. That's what we focus on. For us, it's not so much we're going to maximize the profit as we want, agents and other buyers and lenders to know, like, oh, hey, we're going to go buy one of their houses. Like, this is a really, really quality house. It's going to get a great inspection. We know we're not going to have issues because we tried to pick up, $2,000-$3,000 by shaving off money on cheap fixtures and cheap lighting and cheap flooring and stuff like that. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And I'm going to open it up to anybody that maybe has some questions here. I think we got about 10 minutes for questions. So if anybody has anything, please feel free to just jump in and go ahead and ask. You can text it or you can just say it.
I got one real quick for you. Talking about hardwoods, I refinish hardwoods. I do mostly buy and hold rentals, but do you guys have any color you tend to lean towards versus flips versus rentals and stuff like that? I mean, a lot of times the real light colors kind of look good, but other times real dark colors look good, but obviously get dirtier. Any thoughts there?
So usually we'll use the dark finish when we're salvaging the floors, but there's like old pet stains and you can't go to a light color.
Yeah.
So like, that's when we'll do like dark walnut or Jacobine. If I can, I do try to do the light colors. That's just kind of on trend right now, but a lot of times you can't use it. And a beautiful dark refinished hardwood floor is going to look great too. I don't really worry too much about like, I guess like the color as far as cleaning, because something's going to show up no matter what.
Yeah.
So,
and it really takes a special house. Like you have to find that house where, somebody carpeted that thing in like the 70s and they've just left carpet on there and you pull it up and they never had pets. Like that's, it's a rare house to find that was built in the 60s and 70s where we can get away with, sanding it down and using those lighter stains. I mean, it does happen. It's great. It's fantastic. And like Michelle said, just make sure it flows with like your color throughout. Cause we do see people that, they'll do darker like accent walls. And then you have this very weird, kind of like, and then they have lighter walls and lighter floors and the whole thing just doesn't kind of flow. So you kind of have to look at it from the design thing, but yeah, if you can do it, absolutely. We love the lighter colors, it makes everything brighter.
Be cautious. Well, just not be cautious, but just be aware that if you try to do like that new, like white oak finish, you have to use a water base. And so that's going to cost you more money and it's going to take longer. So just factor that in, because the oil base, is going to have like a yellow tint to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Awesome. Good question. Did that kind of answer what you were asking?
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. This is easy. I mean, anybody else? I feel like this is pretty simple Q&A here for us today.
I got a question for you guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So are we allowed to talk numbers as far as pricing? I'm curious what you spend on average on materials.
Well, so like
I know it depends by job.
Yeah, right. So like,
Yeah.
how many windows do we have to replace? What level appliances are we putting in? So it's really, I would say a good, so like, let's take an average house that it's going to be a 40 to 50K renovation. We'll probably spend between 15 and 20 on materials. Right? That'd be about average.
I think so. And that's going to include though, like your drywall, your mud, your,
Yeah.
you know, your grout, you know, but as far as like tile, like I try to look for tiles in like the $2 a square foot. If that, like for a backsplash, or like a floor, just as like a good starting point.
Okay.
Is that kind of what were you asking like overall?
Yeah.
Budget, or are you asking like certain price points for certain things?
No, you guys pretty well covered it. Plus some. So yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it takes a little bit, like I said, I'm sorry that way to give you like the, it depends answer, but it really does depend. There's certain houses where we want to make, hey, let's say it's a 3-1 and there's smaller rooms, right? So we really want to kind of go all in on like that kitchen, right? So it's going to kind of skew some of those numbers a little bit compared to, like maybe a slightly bigger size house, but I think that's a pretty good ballpark. If you just at least average, we like to do all new windows in our houses, like just across the board now. So like I said, we're almost always at like 15K at a minimum in materials, because you're looking at probably at least $3,000 in just windows alone. And then appliance packages, 3,000.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And trust me, I've been in construction long enough to where I know there's so many variables, and I've had that question asked to me a lot. That
Feel free to
what's it going to cost? Well, let me come look at it, and then I can tell you.
If you have like a more specific material question ever, you guys can feel free to like message us.
Yeah, text us,
get
email us.
Get our opinion.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yep. All right.
Sorry about our dog.
Cool. Does anybody have anything else? This is a really simple Q&A today.
I'll ask some more. So I mentioned I'm more on the buy and hold perspective. I mean, you guys, this intention of the conversation more for flips, but I assume you guys have experience with some rentals. How would you change some of your finishings? Would you still go with the hard stones for the countertops? Obviously, new cabinets when needed. Anything big thing you would pivot on?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. So we do have 7 rentals, right, that we own ourselves. And so some of this is going to be just shooter's preference. We love hard stone steel because it's going to last longer. We will use sometimes a laminate countertop in there, but we've kind of gone away from that now that we have some really great contacts, and we'll always put in a hard stone. This is definitely a time where you can, if let's say there's a nice tile in the bathroom, but it's really ugly and whatnot, this is a great time to epoxy paint that tile, right? So it's a bright, beautiful white, and you're going to hold on to that. This is a great time to carpet, right? It really is in bedrooms and whatnot, if there's just, that's the subfloor instead of throwing down an LVP or whatnot. Same thing in like a living room to use a carpet.
We still try to refinish hardwoods. That's just feeling like
yes.
You still try to keep your products still fairly high quality because you're going to attract better tenants that way.
Yeah. And we'll tear, for us, if the HVAC is 10 years or older, we'll typically put in a new system on a flip. We're going to put in a new system or carrier. Same thing with a water heater if it's more than 2-3 years old. This is where on a flip we're like, oh hey, it's 4 years or it's 12 years old. We're going to clean it. We're going to service it really well, and we have 24-hour standby maintenance for our tenants, right? So we're going to keep those. Same thing with a roof for us. You know, if a roof is past 10 years on a flip, we're putting on a new roof on a rental. Hey, if it's 12 years old or whatever, as long as it's not peeling up and discolored and there's no mold, like, hey, that sucker's that thing's gonna ride. You know, we're gonna let that thing play out for like another 10 years, you know, at least before we pull it off. So that's a great ways to do that. But like Michelle, and I will say the one thing is we will keep hardwood cabinets in a rental. We'll refinish those more frequently. On a flip, we're probably, you know, like I said, 99 out of 10 times they're coming out. But on a rental that we're going to keep, if they have good solid hardwoods cabinets, we're just going to keep those and refinish those.
Yeah. If no one else has one, I got another one for you. I just came under contract on a home out here in Olathe where I kind of live and invest at. And I'm kind of thinking around, should I just kind of try to flip it and sell it to another investor, or kind of not do much work to it, or try to decide, you know, what are the margins if I do try to fix it up and try to get the, you know, the higher ARV? Any kind of thought process you guys do? I mean, do you guys typically wholesale some homes and just keep the best ones to flip, or how do you guys think through that?
No, it's so funny you brought this up. The house we just put on the market last week that I was talking about with like the multiple agents, we got this and we went through this. We had this same debate where like the market's so hot.
No.
We could put it on, we could probably just sell it and we could make like 25 or 30. But we decided we're like, no, we're going to go the distance. We're going to flip it. And I mean, I'll just give you numbers. We're going to come in around 55, right? So we picked up about an extra like 25 to 30 by doing the flip.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not all pure profit. There's a lot of stuff that has to go back into other people. But I mean, for us, it's a no-brainer for us in this market where it's at. I would recommend right now to just do the flip if that's where you're leaning. If you have good crews and, you know, good people and good systems and stuff, it's a great time in the market to do it. So.
Okay. Have you guys noticed the market softening at all or not yet?
It did because of the elections. So, you know, I'm a broker in Missouri and Kansas. So I watch this thing fairly closely. It was pretty brutal there, October, November. It has picked right back up. For what it was. I never thought putting a house on the market in the middle of December on like a Thursday night, you know, we'd have multiple showings and multiple offers. I mean, that's the shenanigans, you know, you get in like June and stuff, right? 2019, like June, July, like when things were just running up and out of control, or like, you know, this year, kind of before COVID really hit, like the early March time span, we had that, but then, and then we had it again kind of in June, July this year. But yeah, it's starting to come right back to where we were because rates keep hitting new historic lows, right? Like every week we're at a new historic low for rates and we still have no inventory on the market. So it is a really, really great time to be selling houses if you have them.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
If we have time, I have one more question.
We have 8 minutes and 21 seconds before we get kicked.
Okay. Go ahead. You mentioned epoxy, and I actually have a customer right now that wants epoxy floors. Have you guys ever dealt with that?
Don't do it.
It's in a high traffic area. It's just going to end up coming off. Like, just if there's tile on the floor and they don't like it, suggest like LVPing over it.
Yeah.
So this is a basement salon is what we're doing, in a home salon basement finish. So it's concrete floors currently, and I did recommend the LVP. But she showed me these beautiful pictures and she really loved these epoxy floors, and that's what she wants to do. I worked with a guy years ago that did great work with epoxy flooring, but he relocated. He's not in the area anymore. So I'm like, oh, I don't even know where to start on that. But
I don't know. It looks great on Instagram, right?
Well,
right. Yeah. The pictures look great.
I mean, so if you have a professional and that's what they're talking about, not like the roll on stuff, it's going to last. But at that point, it's an expensive process to do that. It has to be cleaned really.
I've heard it's very expensive.
Beforehand, it has to be put down. It has to be primed for it to stay on. So at that point, you could put a bunch of other different surfaces on for the same cost. I mean, if that's what she wants and she doesn't care about the money and the expense, but I mean, it is a tremendously expensive process to put it down and to have it stay. Because like I said, if it's not cleaned and treated just properly, that stuff's going to start peeling up within a month or two.
You can also get like some awesome LVP now, with like patterns on them, like they look like cement tiles. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, there's a lot of great options out there now. There really is.
Yeah. Well, and so she liked the marbling look is what it, you know, what I was seeing in these images. And I wonder if even some kind of a marble look tile
Yes, exactly.
would be better.
You can get a vinyl tile that's
Yeah,
you just have to
LVT.
special order.
Yeah, it's going to take a couple of weeks to come in, but there's some really beautiful LVT out there that goes together.
Okay.
And what's nice too is like, you know, if like say part of it does get damaged, you can just pull that piece out and then insert a new piece. Whereas like, hey, you
Right.
Part of it gets ruined from like whatever dragging around a chair to install it, right, for the salon, and like, well, now you're screwed. Where you can't just like easily fix that.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Great. Well, I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, so we got about 5 minutes. If anybody has anything else.
Congrats on your real estate license, David.
Thanks guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does the market need most right now? Where are there shortages in services or whatever? Can you identify anything?
So if you're looking at categories across the board, everybody is short on everything, right? It's just and when it comes to service stuff, if we're talking about actual properties to sell, it is that entry level base housing, right? And that is something that we're working on, trying to meet that need. I know there's a couple other smaller investors trying to meet that need. The profit margins aren't as high, but that's the problem. You know, first time home buyers can't get into $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 new builds. They can't. So that $200,000, $250,000 new build, that's really what the market is in dire need of. We actually need cheaper housing than that. We really need 150 houses, but no one can build that cheap. That's just not a thing unless we start sticking people like in, you know, containers, which maybe we will. But yeah, I would say if you're looking at it like categorically, that would be from that aspect. That's what we need to fill that need. We need to find a way, and some municipalities are going to have to help out on some of that, and just kind of make it so that builders can kind of meet those entry level points, because we just don't have anything. No one's building anything new that's coming anywhere close to 150. You know, it's low 200s, mid 250, mid 200s. That's a new build, smaller home now, you know, anywhere in the greater KC metro.
Great tips. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, and be an electrician. That's the other one. If you want, make that $100,000 plus a year, and you'll be in demand all the time. That's a set.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Okay. Anybody else here? We just got about 2-3 minutes left. Great questions. We really appreciate everybody chiming in and asking this. We do record all this and then play it back, so all of your questions are super helpful to other investors who are looking to get information. So, Drew, if you have anything else,
of course, I got something else. So, Home Depot has the awesome like text to pay for contractors. You mentioned Menards earlier. Does Menards have any type of venue to make that easier from contractor purchase to the builder homeowner type thing?
Like Menards sometimes for cabinets, laminate, countertops, and like
siding,
fixtures.
siding
but,
too. Siding.
Oh, siding.
Yeah.
But
Home Depot, man, it's got it going on. I mean,
text to pay makes it so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're a little biased. I think I think at two of the stores up north, we were like the #1 buyer for a couple months straight there. We love us some Home Depot.
On the first name basis with all the pro contract, you know, like.
Yeah, you can ask poor Elena. She's on the call. She knows how many transactions we do a day at Home Depot. It's a little absurd, but no, they make it really simple with the text to purchase. They have some really great programs. They also will do the rebate program like Menards will do. During certain time periods, they'll match that 11% back. They'll also do, I don't know if you've heard of this, if you're buying a lot of stuff, you can put it into the
bid room.
Yeah, the bid room. So if you're buying a large amount of materials and you go to the pro desk, what they'll do is they'll tally everything up, and then they discount. Certain things are more discounted, like plumbing fixtures, you'll save a lot on. Wood is already like, I mean, them and Menards are just like, hey, who can sell cheaper wood? So, I mean, they make no profit, but like I said, on plumbing fixtures and stuff, you can get some serious discounts if you put stuff in the bid room, but you have to spend over like $3,000.
Okay. So $3,000 is reasonable. I was thinking you're going to say like 10 or something, but I can do $3,000. Okay.
All right. We got a few seconds left. So I'm going to just thank everybody for coming. Great questions. Thank you everybody so much. Take care. And we'll see you guys around. Like I said, please text or email us if you have additional questions. Okay.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Yep. Take care. Bye guys.